Ladies and gentlemen, we are continuing in our first painting reactions. I don't know if any other channel has done this, but listen, we're treading new ground here. Now, we're diving into the Garden of Earthly Delights, painted by Hieronymus, Bosch, back somewhere between 1490 and 1510. Now, we've glanced at this in the past, listened to XTC with Garden of Earthly Delights, a really great song, but we're not talking about music reactions today. We're talking about pieces of art today. So let's go ahead and pull it up. This one actually has a really nice full screen for us, so we can kind of dive into this one a little bit. So, first reaction, right? There's a lot going on. There's a ton going on. We have three pieces of art. We have this over here, in the center, and then over here. Now, first thing I noticed, besides just the incredible amount of detail and action that's happening in these paintings, is that there's definitely a progression of sorts, right? You definitely, and I would say perhaps obviously, have the beginning, creation, Adam and Eve over here. I guess that's Jesus. Tree. Don't see a snake, but he's probably in there somewhere. And then all this is just like the story of life. This is like all the middle happening. This is just a big span of time. And that's why it's also the biggest piece, the centerpiece, because it represents like all of human life, human history in its own abstract way. And then going over here, well, it's darker is the first thing. It's definitely a little bit more dramatic and perhaps eerie, a little more horrifying with some of the imagery that I'm glancing at. So it kind of signifies to me an end and perhaps not a good ending. Also, I forgot to put on the music again. Hold on. And okay, we're back. All right. So let's take this little by little. Let's glance. I guess on the first piece, the first thing I noticed is this giant fountain here, which kind of looks like a crab, like two little eyes and like arms here. Maybe, I'm not sure. I also see some sea creatures coming out from this perhaps primordial ooze and crawling onto land. So perhaps this could, when did I say this was painted? Back in 1490? Was evolution like thought of as a thing at that point? I'm not sure, but I do see creatures, coming from the sea onto land and going into this particular cave. I also see a snake here, and it is on a tree. So even though it's not down here on this tree, or maybe it is somewhere hidden there, I just can't see. So there actually might also be a progression of like from top to bottom, perhaps. Like, I know like in the Bible, like days of creation, something was coming out every single day, basically, or something was created every single day. So maybe that's kind of in a sense what this represents as well. This flock of bats, I'm only saying bats because they're coming out of a cave, are going in a really interesting pattern over here. This is almost like, do you think Roger Dean was inspired by this? Oh, I'm thinking about music reactions. Get that out of here. Get that out of here. But the shapes of the landscape back here are really interesting. These like little wheel-like things back here. Can I zoom in any more? I cannot. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But I think that's really interesting. Let me try one more time. Nope, that's not going to zoom me. All right, I tried. So that's really cool. A lot of different creatures. You have what I can only think of as like a monkey cat eating a little deer. You have a monkey riding on an elephant. You have a unicorn over here alongside some other animals just taking a sip. A porcupine, I think, or maybe it's a peacock. A hog with some baby hogs. A giraffe. A screaming thing. I don't know. But all of this is coming from this fountain of life. I can only assume that's what that is. Then as we kind of shift downward, moving away from that, we get the introduction of humans into the story. Of course, like I said, Adam and Eve here represented. And most of the animals are kind of gone at this point. And this is how I'm viewing this. If I'm viewing this as a progression, then this water here is probably the same here. But there's a progression, like once humans came into the pictures, all of a sudden the animals are not as happy and frolicking as they once were up there. I really thought there would be like a serpent or a snake hidden in here. Maybe this thing here is it, but maybe not. I also noticed this cat eating this lizard. So perhaps this other bird-like thing is eating a frog as well. This bird is reading. Do you guys see that? He has a book in his hand. And as these animals are coming out, this bird is drinking. There's some more eating going on. Were they eating other animals here on this top part? Oh yeah, they were here. Because I was going to say, like, maybe the introduction of man brought also violence alongside with it. I'm also noticing perhaps that there's I don't know, but maybe there's a blood stain marked on this wall here. Not quite sure. So that's what I'm getting in the beginning. This one's going to, listen. This one, truthfully, where do you even start? I guess here at the top left, you have this person riding a griffin, holding a tree branch. On top of the tree branch, some sort of cardinal. And the griffin is also eating a creature. I don't know. Now, interesting, these structures here, these pink structures, there's 1, 2, I won't consider this exactly one, but maybe, 3, 4, 5. They all have that pinkish blue that we also saw from here. So what started as one singular thing has now grown into almost a kingdom of these things. What could these represent? Could these represent the kingdoms of man, different facets of knowledge or something? I have no idea. But if we take them as a whole, and I'm not going to go into every single little thing here, by the way. If we take them as a whole, what looks closest to this one is probably this one here, but none of them are quite the same. What I'm trying to see is what exactly are the differences. There's a sea of mermen or mermaids back here as well, hiding in this one. Some tubes. There's some Cirque du Soleil stuff happening over here. I'm not sure what this one represents at all. This one has the blue in it. What does this blue represent? And almost these brass foil things coming out of it as well. Not sure what's happening there. But people are seemingly coming out of this cave. Is this the allegory of the cave? Who knows? Right now we're kind of proverbially in the cave. This centerpiece one here has a perfect circle. It's a little cracked, but it's a perfect sphere. Once again, there's some dilly-dallying happening, trying to help others out of the water onto the globe. Perhaps the progression and the helping of humankind with one another and bring, I don't know what I'm even saying, man. Here's another one. This one's mostly pink as opposed to the opposite side of this one, which is mostly blue. There's a reversal of their colors. A balancing. And then this one has like nails or screws or some sharpness coming out of it. There's so much to look at it on these paintings. Coming down a little bit, because like I said, I'm not going to look at every single subject here, but I do want to get an idea. Is this a horseshoe crab? Do you think Bosch liked horseshoe crabs? It has a bird-like head. I feel like once again there's a progression. So now man has tamed animals, tamed horses for riding, tamed cows for perhaps food and milk and such, tamed bears. Like, I feel like there's a taming of animals here. The way these guys are sitting here almost looks like centaurish as well. I feel like there's a progression of humankind as we keep moving further and further down. Now there's a taming of goats, mythical animals, this griffin-like thing, another horse, this werecat-looking thing, a camel. So the expansion of man, I feel like that's what we're getting here. Like I said, that's why this centerpiece feels like the history, the bulk of history of man as well. Here's the water once again. James and the giant peach, they're eating fruits, so perhaps crops and farm and agriculture is happening here. Wedding ceremonies, as it looks like perhaps there's something going on like that here. Of course, the picking more of fruits. There's a lot happening here. There's a lot happening. He's getting mama birded. He's getting mama birded right there. Some more eating of fruits and stuff. What's going on down here? I don't know what's happening down there. I don't know. Not quite sure. Not quite sure. I also noticed some darker figures here on the left, on the right here. So perhaps that also, incorporates the expansion of, into different lands. Perhaps I would assume like going into Africa and stuff like that. So it's really capturing a nice history of mankind in its own completely unique way. I see this person with the owl. When I think of an owl, especially in contexts like this, I think of Athena. Knowledge, so perhaps that's man getting knowledge. And you know what? All of these people in here that I just look at as random representations of humankind could truly be like people from history. And Bosch has a meaning with every single one. Let's dive onto this one. This is the one I want to see. I'm doing my best, but I can't get over here anymore. Okay, so this, to me, all of that is just representing war, destruction, desolation. We have banners, we have armies. So, like I said, you are getting the complete history of humankind. From beginning, peace, life, progression, knowledge, to war, violence, and hate. Storming of castles and forts. These ears are pierced, and in between is a knife. So almost like humans aren't listening to reason at this point. Their ears are pierced, and in between where the head would be, in between the ears, is just a knife, just ready to cut. We see what I can only assume as slavery, executions, once again, more war banners. I feel like, don't quote me, I just feel like this gentleman here could be like a self-portrait of Bosch himself, but I don't know. We see a key and a person stabbed on it, so perhaps the key to unlocking the doors of knowledge is unlocked through violence. There's some animals eating a person over here, completely opposed to all the previous animal scenes in which people not only lived with animals in the first part, but in here tamed them and were living next to them. These look like priests as they have a book in hand, so perhaps the spreading of religion through violence, crusades and such. I think the crusades were after this. I'm not sure, I don't remember. Boats traveling to new lands. More knives, cutting of things. Meat is now featured. This looks like a slice of salami or ham. This is really cool. So first of all, this lute looks like an avocado, right? This harp. Harps and lutes, beautiful instruments, spreading music. Oh, we're thinking music again. You gotta stick with paintings. But a man is hung upon it. And another person over here is strung upon this lute. So the things that we should have progressed to with music and beauty and art, we've once again soured with violence. Let me move myself here really quick so you guys can see. That should be good. And people are even crushed under this violence and this oppression. This animal, this frog-like creature, is now eating a human, and there's these bats flying out of its butt, which is, once again, complete opposite of the bats flying out of the cave and the animals eating each other. Now, the animal is eating the human. So once again, nature has changed in a way. Can I get rid of this little mini-map thing? I don't think so. I can't get rid of this little thing. And here you see that furthered animals again eating a person. And all of these people are being oppressed. Is that backgammon? Are people playing backgammon? And they're trying to get away from this. This person has a dice on top of them. So perhaps not only is it violence, but these different what's the word I'm trying to think of? Perhaps it's not what I'm thinking, but like not deadly sins, but like gambling. People are also oppressed by gambling and games. So it's not just oppressed by, violence and war, but the things that you perhaps don't think of. If I don't move my mouse, actually, it shows the corner. And then we have like that little I can't move my mouse, but on the bottom right corner, this person thing in a knight's armor, which is once again attacking these people. So I think war. It has a foot attached on the back of its helm. And the person to the right has it's a pig, but it has like a nun headdress on it. Then to the right of that person has what I think is like a signed treaty. So it's almost like this war is coming, and you better either, sign this treaty or we're gonna kill you. And I do think that it's also kind of making a mock of religion to an extent, as like I said, the pig in the nun's headdress. So there's even a perversion of that happening there. This is a very, very interesting painting. This is a piece of work. Let's dive into the Wikipedia article to learn a little bit more about this then. Listen, I know I'm kind of doing this as like an April Fool's thing, but this is actually kind of interesting, to be honest. It's like an interesting reaction. I am getting like a first reaction and kind of diving into it. All right. So it's a triptych oil painting on oak panels, of course, painted by the early Netherlandish master Hieronymus Bosch between 1490 and 1510, when he was between 40 and 60 years old. Bosch's religious beliefs are unknown, but interpretations of the work typically assume it is a warning against the perils of temptation. The outer panels place the work on the third day of creation. Okay. The intricacy of its symbolism, particularly that of the central panel, has led to a wide range of scholarly interpretations. Historians are divided as to whether the triptych's central panel is a moral warning or a panorama of the Paradise Lost. Oh. He painted 3 large triptychs. The others are the Last Judgment and the Haywain triptych. I thought that said Hawaiian. That can be read from left to right. And each panel was essential to me as a whole. Each of these 3 works presents distinct yet linked themes addressing history and faith. Triptychs from this period were generally intended to be read sequentially, the left and right panels often portraying Eden and the Last Judgment. See, there you go, that makes sense. While the main subject was contained in the centerpiece. Okay. Let's dive into this. I didn't even see this, man. When the triptych's wings are closed, the design of the outer panels becomes visible, rendered in a green grisaille. These panels lack color, probably the most Netherlandish triptychs, and were thus painted, but possibly indicating that the painting reflects a time before creation. So if you close it, this is what it looks like? That is incredible. I didn't even notice that. What do these words say? So this is like the world before creation, basically, according to this. That is really cool. That's awesome, man. The outer panels are generally thought to depict the creation of the world, showing greenery beginning to clothe the still pristine earth. God, wearing a crown similar to a papal tiara, is visible as a tiny figure in the upper left. You saw him right up here. Right there. Let's see. Bosch shows God as the Father sitting with a Bible in his lap, creating the earth in a passive manner. Okay. And then, here's what's inscribed. From Psalm 33:9. For he spoke and it was done. He commanded and it stood fast. And there is the earth there. Despite the presence of vegetation, the earth does not yet contain human or animal life, indicating that the scene represents the events of the biblical third day. Okay, and of course the unusual fashion and such. Okay, so that's why there's nothing there. Then you open it up and you, boom. We have already seen it, obviously, but you get everything right there. Bosch may have intended the outer panels to establish a biblical setting for the inner elements of the work, and the exterior image is generally interpreted as set in an earlier time than those in the interior. Makes sense, makes sense. The inner piece is flanked by heavenly and hellish imagery. I'm not going to read, like I said, every single thing, but flowing from left to right, Eden, the Garden of Earthly Delights, and Hell. There you go. A perfect progression. God appears as the creator in the left-hand wing, while the consequences of humanity's failure to follow his will are shown in the right. It says God is absent from the central panel. Instead, this panel shows humanity acting with free will as they engage in different pleasure-seeking activities. Okay. So that's what this is. That's what's happening there. It says historian Tolnay believed that through the seductive gaze of Adam, the left panel already shows God's waning influence upon the newly created earth. This view is reinforced by the rendering of God in the outer panels as a tiny figure in comparison to the immensity of the earth. That is really, really cool. Look at all this. Like I said, I'm not reading every single line here. It's a lot. It's a lot. But I do want to at least hit some of I want to hit some key points on it. Looking at the left panel. Okay. Adam's waking up from a deep sleep to find God holding Eve by her wrist and giving the sign of his blessing for their union. Eve avoids Adam's gaze. She is shown seductively presenting her body to Adam. Okay, a little bit. Okay.
Oh my.
Sure, why not? Why not?
Oh my.
The outer landscape contains hut-shaped forms made from stone. Behind Eve, rabbits symbolizing fecundity. I thought I was going to say fertility. And a dragon tree opposite is thought to represent eternal life. A dragon tree. These are real? I've never seen this dragon tree in my life. I've never seen this type of tree. That is so cool. Imagine a forest of those things. Center panel. All right. Let's see. Depicts an expansive garden landscape, of course, which gives it its name. The setting is not the paradise shown in the left panel, nor is it best based in the terrestrial realm. Fantastic creatures mingle with the real. There's a certain adolescent and sexual curiosity. Many of the figures revel in an innocent, self-absorbed joy as they engage in a wide range of activities. They're eating, they're living, they're just enjoying their life, basically. In the cave to the lower right, a male figure points towards a reclining female who's also covered in hair. The pointing man is the only clothed figure in the panel, and as Franger observes, he is clothed with emphatic austerity right up to his throat. They're seeking pleasure in various ways. In the fruit of the plants. This is so interesting. In the right panel, which is hell, which, like I said, is completely different. Bosch depicts a world in which humans have succumbed to temptations that lead to evil and reap eternal damnation. Yeah, you get a lot of that. Torture chambers, infernal taverns, demons in the midground, war, mutated animals feeding on human flesh. This is basically Dante's dream right now. The tree man in the right panel and a pair of human ears brandishing a blade. A cavity in the torso is populated by 3 naked persons at a table, seated on an animal, and a fully clothed woman pouring drink from a barrel. That's a butt pub.
Please clap.
That's what it is. It's a butt pub. Oh, man. Lust is further said to be symbolized by the gigantic musical instruments and by their choral singers in the left foreground of the panel. Musical instruments often carried erotic connotations in works of the art period, and lust was referred to in moralizing sources as the music of the flesh. Okay, they're listening to some Roxy music, huh? And of course, some more information on the dating of it, the sources of the context. There's a lot of info on this one. Interpretations. Oh, man. There's a lot. There's a lot. But that is a really cool piece of art. You got to admit. This, that's good. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you guys enjoyed our first reaction to the Garden of Earthly Delights. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, the music thing, that's played out. We're trying something different. We're ending this with a good one. This is good. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Enjoy it. I'll see you later. I'll even mute the music so you can hear this.